I have been wandering the grove for some time in the hope of meeting you. Would you do me the honor of reading this letter?
Miss Bennet, will you grace me with this dance?
Before I observed my friend's behaviour, and perceived his most surprising partiality.
Your sister I also watched.
And though her manners were open and engaging, there was no symptom of warm regard or sentiment. She received his attentions, but remained, to my eye, indifferent.
My objections to the marriage proceeded also from other causes of repugnance. Your family's want of propriety, betrayed by your mother's manners, your sister's forwardness, and even, forgive me, your father's misplaced wit, all confirmed my sense that
I must preserve my friend from a most unhappy connection.
In London, I found his sister's uneasiness
has been greatly excited,
and we were alike sensible that
no
time should be lost in detaching
him.
Bingley has great natural modesty, with a stronger dependence on my judgment than on his own.
To convince him that he had deceived himself was not difficult.
On this subject, I have nothing more to say, and no apology to offer.
With respect to that other, more weighty accusation of having injured Mr. Wickham, that I will attempt to refute.
In short, his behavior towards me has been scandalous.
My father was not only fond of this young man's society, but hoped the church would be his profession.
And intended to provide for him in it. He would situate him at the family parsonage, and provide a legacy of £1,000. On my father's death, Mr. Wickham wrote to inform me that
I've decided not to pursue a church living, but rather to study law, for which the £1,000 would be insufficient. I hope it not unbecoming of me to expect a more immediate pecuniary advantage.
the business was soon settled. He resigned all claim to assistance in the church.
And accepted in return £3,000. 3 years later, he applied to me again, having found the law an unprofitable study, and being again resolved to be ordained.
This must be false. This cannot be. He assured me his circumstances were
exceedingly bad.
Indeed, on both sides, this is only an assertion. And yet, every line confuses my belief in Mr. Darcy's infamy.
You will hardly blame me for refusing his entreaty, and his resentment was so great
You betray your father's wishes and your own honor, sir.
that every appearance of acquaintance was dropped.
Last summer, he again most painfully obtruded on my notice. My sister Georgiana, for whom myself and Colonel Fitzwilliam were mutual guardians, was taken from London at her wish and established in Ramsgate. Mr. Wickham, by connivance, recommended himself to her.
Ah, Miss Darcy. It's a pleasure to renew your acquaintance.
She was then but 15, and was persuaded to believe herself in love, and consented to an elopement.
Fortunately, regarding me as almost a second father, she confessed her plans.
You may imagine what I felt, and how I acted.
I wrote to Mr. Wickham in undisguised heat, and he left London immediately and alone. His chief object had unquestionably been my sister's fortune of £30,000 and the hope, I think, of revenging himself on me.
In this
is a faithful narrative of every event. If your abhorrence of me should make my assertions valueless, I direct you to Colonel Fitzwilliam, also guardian of Georgiana, who is fully aware of every particular described above. I will only add, God bless you.
How humiliating is this discovery? And yet, how just a humiliation. Had I been in love, I could not have been more wretchedly blind. But vanity, not love, has been my folly. As to the mention of my family...
Oh, I do hope I have some balls this evening. So anyhow, he came in and, where's the... Things, yes. Anyhow, so as I was saying, would somebody please help me here?
In terms so mortifying, the sense of shame is severe. But the charge strikes too forcibly for denial. Their defects, I fear, seem hopeless of remedy. My mother puts herself forward beyond all expectation.
Oh, what are you reading? Is he good? Well, what are you reading?
While my father does nothing to restrain the uncontrollable giddiness and self-willed carelessness of my younger sisters.
Oh, give me a hand. This one. Oh, lucky.
Thank you, Mother. Only excepting dearest Jane. What can I call them all but ignorant, idle, and vain? How despicably I have acted. I who have prided myself on my discernment. Till this moment, I never knew myself.
I'm glad you are back, Lizzie.
Have you had any flirting? I was in great hopes you would have got a husband before you got back.
Our sisters have been more than ordinarily silly.
Oh, who? Aunt Philip says Lizzie had better take in Mr. Collins, but I do not think there would have been any fun in it. Jane will be quite an old maid soon, Lord. How I should like to be married before any of you. And then I should chaperone you about to all the balls. Kitty and I have been to the shops.
I do wish you had gone along with us, Mary, for we had such fun. We talked and laughed so loud that anybody might have heard us 10 miles off.
Far be it from me to depreciate such pleasures, dear sisters, but I must confess they would have no charms for me. I should infinitely prefer a book.
Look here, I have bought this bonnet. I do not think it is very pretty, but I thought I might as well buy it not.
You see...
Oh, but there were 2 or 3 much uglier in the shop. And when I have bought some prettier coloured satin to trim it with fresh, I think it will be very tolerable.
Girls.
Come in, Mother.
Dear sister, I am heartily sorry that Mr. Darcy should have delivered his sentiments in a manner so little suited to recommend them. But I grieve for the unhappiness your refusal must have given him.
You do not blame me, however, for refusing him.
Blame you? Oh no. But Wickham is so very bad. It is almost past belief. How unfortunate that you should have used such very strong expressions in speaking of Wickham to Mr. Darcy, for now they do appear wholly undeserved.
Well, now, Lizzie, what do you think of this business of Jane's?
My belief...
I truly believe that he's an undeserving young man. Well, I don't think she's going to have him now, do you?
Mamma,
Well, my only consolation is that I am sure Jane will die of a broken heart. And then he will be sorry for what he has done.
News, ecstatic, delicious.
Wonderful news! Hearing the regiment would leave for Brighton.
I thought my heart should have broken.
My heart?
Mine. Oh, Mamma, I have received an invitation from Mrs. Forster, the wife of the colonel of the regiment, to accompany her
To Brighton!
Brighton.
And I cannot see why I should not be asked as well.
Shan't.
Shall?
You confuse your steps to the dance espagnole, and you put one dress for the new season, and that an unsuitable green.
Lydia will never be happy until she has exposed her qualities in some public place or other. We can never expect to do it with so little expense and trouble to the family as under the present circumstances.
were you aware of the very great disadvantage to us
not go to Brighton.
Mr. Wickham has arrived to say his goodbyes, for the regiment leaves tomorrow for Brighton.
Mr. Wickham, I will not say my goodbyes, for Papa has agreed I may accept Mrs. Forster's invitation for an extended visit.
It would be my honour if asked to show you around to the town's historical views and introduce you to the people of Brighton.
Girls,
Miss Bennet.
Mr. Wickham,
Am I in disgrace, Miss Bennet?
I do not rightly understand you.
I have always admired your understanding.
Have I mentioned I met Colonel Fitzwilliam and Mr. Darcy at Rosner? You know Colonel Fitzwilliam, I believe?
In passing, you saw Darcy frequently?
Yes, almost every day. I believe Mr. Darcy improves on acquaintance.
Indeed. Is it an address he improves, for I dare not hope he's improved upon essentials?
I meant that from knowing him better, his disposition was better understood.
I must rejoice that he is wise enough to assume even the air of what is right, for it must prevent him from such foul misconduct as I have suffered by. But I fear I must leave you. We are on the march. Final word on Mr. Darcy. His manners being in a state of improvement may be imputed to his desire to strike a match with his newfound affability with the daughter of Lady Catherine de Bourgh, a match long sought after by both families as a boon to their generous estates and a continuation of their honourable lines. Goodbye, Miss Bennet. Don't know if we shall ever see each other again. I wish you good fortune in whichever way your inclinations lie.
The departure of the regiment, including many acquaintances, wrapped a cloak of gloom and disinclination around our domestic circle.
Lydia promised to write very often, but her letters are so short.
Where such and such officers had attended them, where she had seen such beautiful ornaments as had made her quite wild.
And how she had purchased another new dress and another new parasol.
And my constant hope of a tour to the lakes with the Gardiners was now the object of my happiest thoughts.
My dear Elizabeth, our plans due to Mr. Gardiner's business have to be curtailed in extent. We must miss the lakes and substitute a more contracted tour. Did you have your heart set on seeing the lakes?
Well, I hear they were an attraction.
Oh, I fear we are to be confined to Derbyshire. But that leaves us the delights of Warwick, Kenilworth, Lambton, and of course, Pemberley.
Oh, Pemberley.
The Darcy estate?
Yes, I recall.
If it were merely a fine house with rich furnishings, it would not interest me at all. But the grounds are delightful.
The grounds, yes. But is not the family down for the summer?
No, you goose. The family summer's always in London.
The master is of course absent, but we expect him tomorrow with a large party of friends. We are instructed always to show you the house if you'd like.
Oh, very kind indeed.
Your master much at Pemberley, is he?
Not so much as I could wish, sir.
Take a look at the stream, eh?
Please, do step in. That would be my master. Drawn perhaps 8 years ago.
Oh, it's quite a handsome face. But Lizzie, you must tell us what it is like or not.
Does the young lady know Mr. Darcy? I do. And do you not think him a very handsome gentleman, Mom?
Yes, very handsome.
He is the best master that has ever lived. I have never heard a cross word from him in my life.
Mr. Darcy, you mean?
Yes, Mom. Go as you please. See what you like.
Well, it is a very handsome face indeed. His behavior does not put him in such an amiable light when it comes to our poor friend.
It is possible we are deceived. Perhaps, Aunt, we may view the grounds.
Oh, with greatest pleasure. The landscape, the lawn and the river, all in perfect harmony with the building. I am quite swept away.
Oh,
Oh. Ah.
Miss Bennet. This is a most welcome surprise.
Indeed, most welcome.
Might I inquire of your well-being and that of your family?
In all regards, well.
I'm very pleased to hear so. Would you do me the honor of introducing me to your friends?
Mr. and Mrs. Gardiner, may I present Mr. Darcy?
Charmed.
Delighted.
My uncle and aunt.
That, of course, only adds to the honor.
Wonderful stream, Mr. Darcy. Capital angling, I suspect.
Quite satisfactory, Mr. Gardiner. Should you continue in the neighborhood, please do me the pleasure of fishing here as often as you like. I can easily provide the requisite tackle and direct you to those parts of the stream where there is the most sport.
Eh?
Best sport.
Very generous, sir. Look forward to it.
Very generous indeed.
Oh, please exempt our forwardness in walking through your grounds, but your housekeeper did say that you would not be back until tomorrow.
I preceded my party to see to their comfort. There are those who would claim acquaintance with you, Miss Bennet, Mr. Bingley and his sister, and one who more particularly wishes to be known to you. Will you allow me, or do I ask too much, to introduce my sister to your acquaintance?
I am delighted by this compliment.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
Oh, very kind, very kind.
Perfectly well behaved, polite and unassuming.
Oh, he is a little bit aloof. And he is not as charming as Wickham, but his features are perfectly fine. Lizzie, how came you to tell us that he was so disagreeable?
Well,
Eh?
Disagreeable.
Indeed not. At the worst, a little whimsical in his civilities.
To my dearest daughter, the meetings and introductions suggested by Mr. Darcy took place 2 days following and met with my lively attention. Had conceived, you might say, a thought that perhaps with Mr. Darcy and my niece, that came to full conviction that at least one of them knew what it was to love. Of Lizzie's sensations, I remained a bit in doubt, but that the gentleman was overflowing with affection, that was evident enough.
Thus, dearest Jane, in speaking of your supposed rival, Miss Darcy, I saw no looks between her and Mr. Bingley that spoke of particular regard. He also asked of me with great interest whether all my sisters were still at Longbourn, which I took to be an inquiry as to your married state. Miss Bingley continues in her dislike of me. Georgiana Darcy was greatly civil, but very shy.
Something has come for you, miss.
Oh,
Thought you might be wanting it.
news from Jane, and very welcome.
I brought it to you then.
Dearest Lizzie, something has occurred of a most unexpected and serious nature.
Colonel Forster has informed us that Lydia has run off to Scotland with one of his officers. To confess the truth, Lizzie, it is with Wickham.
Worse still.
Imprudent as a marriage between our poor Lydia and Wickham might be.
We are now frantic to be sure that it's taking place in Oxford, and now here they have not gone to Scotland, but to London.
And there is reason to believe
That he never intended to marry Lydia at all.
and Colonel Forster.
Fierce Wickham is not a man to be trusted.
Father has gone to London to try and discover her, and what he means to do I know not.
He shall shoot the scoundrel through the heart, and we shall all be ruined.
Adieu, I cannot help but earnest begging to
Come as soon as possible. Oh, where is my aunt? I must find her this moment on business that cannot be delayed.
Good God, what is the matter?
I have not an instant to lose.
You cannot go yourself. Sit down. A glass of wine.
No.
You are very ill.
No, I thank you. Only dreadful news. My youngest sister has left all her friends, has eloped under the power of Mr. Wickham. You know him too well to doubt the rest. She is lost forever.
I am grieved, shocked, but is it absolutely certain?
Certain. My father is gone to London, and I am sure Mr. Gardiner will assist. But how is such a man to be worked on? How are they even to be discovered?
If there were anything I could do...
Most kind, but
Would to heaven there is something I could do to offer solace in time of such distress.
we must go at once. Pray apologize for us to Miss Darcy.
Of course.
Well then, your company seems to have fled the grounds in disarray.
Your pardon?
How very ill Miss Eliza Bennet looked this morning, Mr. Darcy. I never in all my life saw anybody so much altered as she has since the winter. She has grown so brown and coarse.
That is, perhaps, no miraculous consequence of travelling in the summer.
I recollect your saying one night, she, a beauty, I should as soon call her mother a wit. But afterwards she seemed to improve on you. I believe you thought her rather pretty at one time.
Yes, but that was only when I first knew her. For now I consider her the handsomest woman of my acquaintance.
estranged, a father absent, a mother incapable of exertion. And it is all my fault, too, that knowing what I did of Wickham, I had not the foresight to make that knowledge public. Has anything been heard of the fugitives?
Not yet, but now that my dear uncle has come, I hope all will be well.
His father in London?
Yes, he went on Tuesday.
If I had my way, and the whole family would have gone to Brighton, none of this would have happened. Oh, why did the force this letter out of their sight?
Mother.
And now Mr. Bennet will fight Wickham once he finds him, and I do not know what we shall do.
Eh?
Do not know what we shall do.
Nonsense. Do not cause yourself useless alarm. I shall go to London, calm my brother, and consult together what is to be done.
This is a most unfortunate affair, but we must stem the tide of malice and pour into the wounded bosoms of each other the balm of sisterly consolation.
You see, Mary thinks it's all a book. Lydia wrote saying if we knew where she was going.
You would laugh. What a good joke it will be when I write to Mama and sign my name, Lydia Wickham. I hope you will drink to our good journey.
Thoughtless, thoughtless Lydia! But at least it shows she was serious in the object of her journey. Whatever he might afterwards persuade her to, it was not on her side a scheme of infamy. My poor father, how he must have felt it.
I never saw anyone so shocked. He could not speak a word.
Mr. Bennet, shocked. I fell ill immediately. I was needed to be carried to my room. Twice.
Oh, Jane.
Oh, Mr. Bennet. Oh, my dear Mr. Bennet. Oh.
Father, what you must have endured.
It has been my own doing, and I ought to feel it.
You must not be too severe upon yourself.
No, Lizzie. Let me, for once in my life, feel how much I have been to blame. Or perhaps I will wait till Kitty runs away.
I'm not going to run away, Papa. If I should ever go to Brighton, I would behave far better than Lydia.
Do you still suppose them to be in London?
Where else can they be so well concealed?
Father, from Uncle Gardiner in London.
Indeed, I have palpitations.
I have seen them both.
Oh, thank heaven.
They are not married, nor can I find there was any intention of being so.
What?
However, I hope it will not be long before they are.
Not long. Not long.
Hush,
See?
Mrs. Bennet.
She's a good girl.
All that is required of you is to assure your daughter by settlement her equal share of the £5,000
And
secured
enter-
among your children after your decease.
And enter into an engagement of allowing her during your life £100 per annum.
Is it possible? Can it be possible that he will marry her?
So, Wickham is not so ill-deserving as we have thought him.
But the terms, I suppose, must be complied with.
Exactly. You must write immediately. They must marry.
And right I will. But there are two things I would very much like to know. How much your uncle has laid out to achieve this, and how I am ever to pay him.
Money? My uncle, what do you mean, sir?
I mean that no man in his senses would marry Lydia for £100 during my life and 50 when I am gone. Wickham's a fool if he takes her with a farthing less than £10,000.
And Mr. Gardiner could pay such a sum?
Indeed, he could not, nor I repay him.
Mr. Bennet, you must write. You must inscribe this minute. Oh, this is excellent news. They will be married. Oh, how I've missed her. And I will see her again. My dear, kind brother. Oh, my dear Lydia. Oh, I really have missed her. And dear Wickham, too.
Dear Wickham?
Oh, the clothes. The wedding clothes. Oh, there's so much that has to be done. A ring for the carriage
resolved on quitting the militia and would now enter the regular army under the command of General Trott, now quartered in the north.
After our sister's wedding day, the couple returned to Longbourn.
And the family assembled to receive them.
Congratulate me, sisters. It is a great while since I've been here, good gracious. When I went away, I'm sure I had no idea of being married, though I thought it would be very good fun if I was. Dear Jane, I take your place now, and you must go lower, because I am a married woman. And what do you think of my husband? Is he not a charming man? All my sisters must go to Brighton now, as that is the place to get husbands.
I thank you for my share of the favour, but I do not particularly like your way of getting husbands.
You are so strange. I must tell you how it went off. We were married, you know, at St. Clement's, because Wickham's lodgings were in that parish, and it was all settled that we should be there by 11 o'clock. Well, just as the carriage came to the door, my uncle was called away on business, and I was so frightened that the wedding must needs be put off. But then I recollected Mr. Darcy would do as well to give me away.
Mr. Darcy?
Give you away?
Oh yes, he was to come there with Wickham, you know. Oh, but gracious me, I quite forgot. I ought not to have said a word. It was to be such a secret.
Well, if it was to be secret, say not another word.
Most certainly. We will ask you no questions.
Indeed, for then I should tell all, and Wickham would be so angry.
Lilia!
Coming, Mamma.
But are my suspicions concerning Mr. Darcy's actions correct?
Really, if you are to be so innocent and ignorant, then I must be more explicit.
Oh dear.
Mr. Darcy came to call on Mr. Gardiner to tell him that he knew where Wickham and your sister were. Mr. Darcy professed that it was owing to himself that